This review explores The Bride. The film begins in the afterlife with Mary Shelley, the legendary author of Frankenstein. Shelley reveals that she had one final story left untold before her death. Determined to share it, she possesses Ida, a woman living in 1936 Chicago. The possession quickly spirals out of control when Ida begins publicly exposing the crimes of notorious gangster Lupino. During the ensuing chaos, she falls down a staircase and dies, setting the stage for a strange and unpredictable tale. Meanwhile, Frankenstein's monster, Frank, arrives at the home of Dr. Cornelia Euphronius, a brilliant scientist researching reanimation. After spending more than a century wandering the world alone, Frank asks Euphronius to create a companion for him. She agrees and selects Ida's body as the subject of her experiment. The procedure succeeds, but Ida awakens with no memory of her former life. Frank immediately tells her she is his bride and that an accident erased her past. Lonely and desperate for companionship, he builds their relationship on this deception. The newly revived woman trusts Frank completely. Together, they experience small moments of happiness, attending movies and dancing in clubs. However, their fragile peace is shattered when Frank kills two men attempting to assault her. Disturbed by his actions, he urges her to leave him, but she refuses. The pair flee by train to New York. During the journey, Mary Shelley's spirit briefly takes control again, resulting in another death and drawing the attention of law enforcement. Detective Jake Wiles and his sharp, capable assistant, Myrna Malloy, begin investigating the growing trail of violence. Their pursuit gradually expands across the country. In New York, Frank gives the woman a new identity, Penelope Rogers. Yet Penelope proves far more independent than he expected. After causing chaos at a movie screening, she and Frank seek refuge at a lavish society gathering. There, Frank finally meets his idol, movie star Ronnie Reed, only to be dismissed with cold indifference. The encounter sparks one of the film's strangest and most memorable sequences. As Frank imitates Reed's famous dance routines, Penelope joins him, and party guests appear swept up by Mary Shelley's supernatural influence. The celebration is interrupted when police arrive. Refusing to surrender, Penelope takes Reed hostage and delivers a passionate condemnation of powerful men who exploit women. Detective Wiles recognizes her as Ida, the woman believed dead. During the confrontation, Penelope kills a police officer, and she and Frank escape, becoming national headlines. Back in Chicago, Lupino discovers that Ida is somehow alive and exposing his criminal activities. Furious, he murders one of his own men and orders Clyde to hunt her down permanently. Malloy eventually notices a pattern connecting the fugitives' movements. Every location corresponds to a city featured in one of Ronnie Reed's films. This discovery leads investigators to Niagara Falls, where Wiles finally confronts Penelope and reveals the truth about her past. Unable to process everything, she flees. At a drive-in theater, Frank finally confesses everything. He tells her she was once Ida, that she died, and that he lied about her being his bride. Though devastated, she emerges stronger from the revelation. Rejecting both Ida and Penelope, she chooses her own identity, the bride. Overcome with guilt and genuine love, Frank proposes marriage. Before she can answer, Clyde appears and fatally shoots him. The bride carries Frank's body back to Euphronius's laboratory, followed closely by Malloy. Euphronius initially refuses to perform another resurrection. Her previous attempt to revive her husband ended in tragedy, leaving her haunted by the consequences. Before a decision can be made, Clyde attacks again and shoots the bride. Police arrive as Clyde escapes. Faced with two dead bodies and an impossible choice, Euphronius is ultimately persuaded by Malloy's faith and by Mary Shelley's lingering presence. She performs one final act of reanimation, restoring both Frank and the bride. Outside, Clyde is arrested, while inside the laboratory, the reunited couple reach for each other as a radiant light fills the room.
Welcome to KBM Review. Whether you're a cinephile, industry analyst, or curious viewer, KBM Review is the gateway. The Rats, A Witcher Tale, 2025, is a gritty, kinetic prequel that expands the Witcher universe by diving into the chaotic rise of the infamous gang of youthful outlaws known as the Rats. Directed by Merzy Almas and written by Haley Hall, the film trades the monster-hunting mysticism of Geralt's saga for a blood-soaked, adrenaline-fueled heist narrative set against the backdrop of a war-ravaged continent. From the opening frame, the film pulses with urgency, introducing viewers to a band of misfits: Iskra, Reef, Assi, Mistel, Orla, Kaylee, and Giselher. whose lives have been shaped by violence, abandonment, and the collapse of moral order. What begins as petty thievery quickly escalates into a high-stakes plot to rob a powerful crime syndicate, led by the ruthless Lord Riddick and his enforcer, Black Hand. The rats, each scarred by personal trauma, form a volatile surrogate family, bound not by trust but by shared desperation and a thirst for vengeance. The film's narrative structure is non-linear, weaving flashbacks of each member's origin with present-day chaos, allowing the audience to understand the psychological fractures that drive their recklessness. Mistel, played with raw intensity by Crystal Elwin, emerges as the emotional anchor, a character torn between loyalty and survival, whose arc foreshadows her tragic entanglement with Ciri in The Witcher Season 4. The cinematography by Trevor Michael Brown is unrelenting, favoring handheld shots and dim, firelit interiors that evoke the grime and danger of medieval urban decay. The action sequences are brutal and stylized, choreographed with a punk sensibility that mirrors the Rat's anarchic ethos. Dolph Lundgren's Brehon, a morally ambiguous witcher, adds a layer of complexity, serving as both mentor and cautionary tale, reminding the gang, and the audience, that power without purpose is a curse. The film's pacing is relentless, but it finds moments of quiet introspection, particularly in scenes where the rats confront the cost of their choices. These interludes, scored with haunting strings and ambient echoes, elevate the narrative from mere spectacle to a meditation on youth, trauma, and the illusion of freedom. The screenplay avoids romanticizing the gang's exploits. Instead, it presents their violence as a symptom of systemic collapse, drawing parallels to real-world cycles of poverty and rebellion. As the heist unfolds, betrayals mount, alliances fracture, and the rat's dream of liberation curdles into tragedy. The final act is a masterclass in tension, culminating in a brutal showdown that leaves the gang irrevocably changed. By the time the credits roll, The Rats, A Witcher Tale has not only deepened the lore of the franchise but also carved out a standalone identity, a tale of broken youth clawing for meaning in a world that has none to offer. It's a film that demands to be seen not just as a Witcher side story, but as a bold, character-driven exploration of what happens when the monsters aren't just outside the gates, but within. And that wraps up The Rats, A Witcher Tale, a bold, blood-soaked detour from the monster-hunting mythos we've come to expect from the Witcher universe. As a critic, I found this prequel refreshingly raw and unapologetically character-driven. It doesn't just fill in lore gaps, it weaponizes them, turning backstory into battleground. The rats aren't heroes, and the film doesn't pretend they are. Instead, it gives us a punk fantasy heist soaked in trauma, adrenaline, and moral ambiguity. Merzey Almas directs with a kinetic edge, and Haley Hall's script refuses to romanticize violence, instead dissecting it with surgical precision. Crystal Elwin's Mistel is a standout. Her performance is layered, tragic, and magnetic. The cinematography is grimy and immersive, and the pacing never lets up. But what truly elevates this film is its refusal to offer easy redemption. These characters are broken, and their world is unforgiving. As a standalone, it's a brutal meditation on youth and survival. As a franchise entry, it deepens the Witcher mythos with emotional weight. My final verdict? The Rats, A Witcher Tale earns a solid 8.5 out of 10, a must-watch for fans who crave character over spectacle and grit over gloss. KBM Review is a cinematic sanctuary for global cinephiles. We unveil movie reviews through striking visuals, evocative scores, and contemplative text. Movies are a product of tireless effort and creative dedication, and every ticket purchased or stream on an official platform supports filmmakers who bring these stories to life. We strongly recommend that our viewers watch the movie exclusively through official platforms and ensure an authentic cinematic experience.
The Bluff is a swashbuckler action thriller released on February 25th, 2026, directed by Frank E. Flowers and written by Flowers alongside Joe Ballerino. Arriving exclusively on Amazon Prime Video, the film is produced by AGBO, the studio founded by the Russo brothers and Purple Pebble Pictures, with Priyanka Chopra leading a bold, visceral period adventure set on the rugged shores of Cayman Brac. Chopra plays Ursel Bodden, a woman living a carefully constructed, quiet life on the island with her disabled son Isaac and her sister-in-law Elizabeth. Neither knows the truth behind her composed exterior. To them, she is simply a dutiful wife waiting for her sea captain husband, Theodore H. Bodden, whose ship is now 59 days overdue. But buried beneath that calm identity is a woman once known as Bloody Mary, the most feared pirate to sail the Caribbean. That past comes crashing ashore when Captain Francisco Connor, played with cold menace by Karl Urban, arrives at Cayman Brac hunting for Ursel. Through harrowing fragments, the film reveals her origins. Captured as a teenager by Connor, she joined his crew to survive, became his most formidable lieutenant and lover, then betrayed him and vanished with his cache of gold. Connor has never forgiven her. His men descend on the island with brutal efficiency, killing most of its defenders, including Elizabeth's fiancé, forcing Ursel to flee into the jungle with Isaac and Elizabeth. She leads them to refuge in a hidden network of caves she secretly maintained within the Bluff, a dramatic natural formation she long ago converted into a fortified hideout. Cornered and exposed, Ursel shatters the life she built. She confesses everything to Isaac and Elizabeth: her name, her crimes, her gold.
Ismael Cruz Cordova brings warmth and quiet dignity to TH, while Safia Oakley Green delivers a sharp and resilient Elizabeth, whose loyalty deepens with every revelation. With Connor holding TH captive aboard his vessel, Ursel ventures out alone in a daring infiltration of the pirate camp. She locates her husband, but cannot free him. Cornered, she attempts an exchange, the gold for his life, but Connor's treachery ensures the deal collapses violently. TH is killed, the gold is destroyed. Ursel escapes, battered but unbroken. Connor regroups. With the gold gone, he redirects his men towards a new prize, Ursel herself, whose capture would earn them a royal pardon. The pirates track her back to the caves, and here the film reaches its most electrifying passage. Working in darkness, using traps and intimate knowledge of the terrain, Ursel, aided by Isaac and Elizabeth, dismantles Connor's crew one by one. Tamara Morrison lends commanding presence to Lee, Connor's battle-hardened quartermaster, and his scenes with Urban crackle with the authority of men accustomed to violence. When only Connor remains, he extends one final invitation: settle this in the open. Like buccaneers, she accepts. Atop the bluff, the two adversaries duel in a confrontation as personal as it is physical. Connor nearly kills her, but Elizabeth's timely shot turns the tide, and Ursel drives her sword through him, ending it. In the aftermath, she reveals her true name to Elizabeth, Miriam. Isaac discovers she had quietly stowed a portion of the gold away on a sailboat. As survivors emerge from hiding, a British fleet appears on the horizon, a future as uncertain as the woman who just secured it. The Bluff is streaming exclusively on Amazon Prime Video. Thanks for watching KBM International Film Review.